Okay, let's look at Perryville. This is a CWB game that is fairly hard to find now at a reasonable price. Smaller battle in Kentucky. Braxton Bragg and E. Kirby Smith are invading Kentucky from Tennessee. And let's see, Don Carlos Buell is in charge. Now this is after Buell's been relieved of command, but his presumed, the man who was supposed to replace him, General Thomas, had refused because Buell had already started preparation for the campaign and he didn't feel that he should jump in under those circumstances. This is using, it claims to be 2nd edition revised. Well, there seem to be more than one 2nd edition revised. In essence, it's whether or not you get this section here. The army status and panic rules got cut out of the rule books at some point. They just got eliminated. They're kind of an interesting set of rules simulating army morale using player morale and player perception, both players' perception of what's going on in the game. Really, really neat idea. It got pretty much dropped from the system. In fact, it's not used in this game. It's in the core rulebook, but they suggest not to use it. Later, when we see, I don't know. I probably have some others that I haven't played that use it. Got Baron Victory and should have Bloody Road South somewhere. I don't know where that is. Oh, there it is. It's up there. I know Embrace an Angry Wind, the errata says, don't use it. I think basically the idea here is they just withdrew completely from this idea. Is it an optional rule? No, it's not even optional. As far as I know, let's see. Each player checks for status change using the status change table. Each player asserts his own view of what his army status, of what the army status is. And then they roll a die on the status change table to see if that actually changes how you're doing. And eventually you get a panic check. Now, I have never played this. Should be some charts in here, which presumably got removed also. There we go, the status change chart. There's always kind of a couple blanks that they cut out of it. So you select a player's viewpoint and you roll a die and adjust the status as indicated. So that essentially is a way of seeing, hey, am I doing worse than I think I was? Let's reduce the status. Am I doing better than my current status, or am I about the same? And then you make a die roll and see how the army as a whole actually reacts to that. We're not going to be playing with this because, and then if you reach a status of 1 or 2, the opposing player can expend a panic demand, and the army commander fails a panic check. Each player's personality sheet, I don't know what that is, we don't have them, gives a number of panic demands. This is available for the entire game. And the opposing player checks his army status and makes a panic roll if the status is 1 or 2. in accordance with his own Army commander's personality sheet. And if he fails, he has to follow specific instructions on panic that are presented for that commanding officer. Really, really cool sounding ideas. I can see why they might have been too much work to try to support, too much effort. But they're an interesting thought, and I could see trying to add something like this to games that don't have it. Anyway, that is the rule that I wrote to Dean, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago or not. Yeah, it's probably coming on that, and said, hey, I just played a game that had these. Can I get a copy of that, missing section? And he didn't have it on PDF or any electronic format anymore, but he did happen to have an old copy of the rules around and sent it to me, which was very, very cool. Anyway, what about this game? There's not a lot here. First of all, I'm not playing with many counters. This is all there is on the board. These are optional counters if you assume that Kirby Smith is able to link up with Bragg. These are counters that aren't used in the historical battle. They're in the area. I've got some additional units from Sill's wing that Buell could have brought into play that came out in one of the Christmas mailings. I think there were additional Union forces in the area. The Union had like 100,000 troops in the area. The Confederates were just so outnumbered. Anyway, the historical battle is not that interesting. It ends up being, a small skirmish around Perryville, really, and the Union failed to react appropriately, and the Confederates were so outnumbered they had to pull out, declaring victory. And then Bragg just retreats from the entire battle. To handle the actual special rules, let's see. We're going to play on scenario 1, which is the historical, and it puts Buell, who's fallen off a horse recently and isn't feeling too hot, in a particularly bad situation. He and his headquarters are over here, and they're not allowed to move. Bragg's not on the board, and he's got to be. Buell can issue orders from only that location. He's basically can only do aid delivery, or if somebody wants to walk up and talk to him. He could get displaced if he's attacked up there, just to prevent that from being some kind of stupid goal for the Confederates. And he's unable to issue orders of any kind until he gets an initiative die roll throughout the game. Now, with his mighty 0 rating, I believe his initiative die roll is a 12. So there's a good chance that he will not issue any orders throughout the game. Thomas is here. Now, strangely enough, Thomas is in charge of the 2nd Division of the 1st Corps, which doesn't exist in the game. But he's kind of paying attention to what's going on here. I don't think I have... Oh, no, here's... Yeah, no, I don't know. He's allowed to roll orders, or to roll initiative, and then give divisional goals, or even corps goals, to the other commanders. So he's sort of like Jackson and Longstreet were in the thing I just played, in their quiet fields. Do I have Gilbert on the map? Should be. Yeah, Gilbert's over here. We got really good leaders here, right? That's under Thomas. Gilbert has an anti-initiative. Now, I don't think I've ever explained anti-initiatives except as they applied to the 3rd edition rules. The original use of the anti-initiatives is just a penalty on the actual initiative roll. And I gotta find it here. I'm not finding it. There it is, 10.2. All right. An anti-initiative is going to... Corps and leaders are given an anti-initiative to relate. If none are given the assumed value. Is it just in the initiative thing? Shit, I've got to go. I don't know. Essentially, all I think an anti-initiative does is it subtracts from your initiative rating. Well, he's going to have an initiative of 0 anyway, so an anti-initiative shouldn't affect him at all. See over here, let's see if it's mentioned in loose cannon, but it doesn't look like it is. Yeah, the only use that I see is it's supposed to subtract from his leadership value. His leadership value is as low as possible. So an anti-initiative on him means nothing. They're trying to express something that he was even worse than he should have been. Maybe they had given him some successful command rating. This guy is actually a captain in the army who's been breveted to brigadier, and then it was never approved. All right, what else do we have here? See, the way I've got to log on to my work, and that's why I ran away, but I've got it like 10 minutes before I actually have to work. It's just, it takes a while to install all the software that I need to communicate. Okay. We have Cav organization. The Union Cav Brigade begins attached to the 3rd Corps. I don't know where the Cav are. They're kicking around down here. If desired, the Union can reassign it in any command phase to any other corps, or he can assign it directly to the headquarters, in which case it's got to go directly under command of the headquarters. But it can be assigned a divisional goal that way. For the Confederates, we got some Cav, not very much on the board, not very much in this game. I only have one unit here. So here's what's weird. The historical scenario, I'm playing with 2 out of 3 Union Corps and 1 out of 2 Confederate wings, and that's all that's going to come on the board. This is the battle. If you presume an earlier start to the day, you get these extra troops kicking around in the area, and they can conceivably add to, the complexity and the interest of this battle. Among them are those additional Cav brigades, I guess. I remember seeing a lot of Cav here. I don't know. Got one there. Yeah, I don't know. I just do not remember seeing 4 brigades here. Maybe some of them are part of Kentucky. Yeah, 2 are in the Army of Kentucky. Great. Okay, the other thing is the Army of Kentucky. That's E.K. Smith's command. That's just, that's this bag of pieces. Half the Confederate force. Not here. what's kind of neat, if you play the battle that with the optional rules, they don't have a battle. I mean, I don't know if it's optional. It's one of the scenarios is, hey, Smith shows up. You end up with two separate commands, with Bragg commanding this army of Mississippi and Smith commanding the army of Kentucky, and they're each issuing their own sets of orders, which is kind of an interesting circumstance. You don't see many of the games that do that. But anyway, I'm just going to be playing a pure Bragg command. For minor variants, basically these are things that you can buy in a scenario, and most of the CWB games have this. You say, I want some extra troops, or I don't think I want Bragg to be that bad, or whatever. You have a series of things like that. So for example, Buell being uninjured gives he becomes a 1-rated leader. He can move around. That's worth 8 Confederate victory points. Wow. That's a lot. Thomas, make him not crappy. Why is Thomas crappy in this game? Well, because of the political situation between him and Buell, he felt like if he made any mistakes, Buell would basically be on his ass because of him being offered the command. Another option is Thomas takes command, and you have a 4-rated Thomas. Now that goes up to 10 victory points. The Thomas Greater Initiative is 8 victory points. Over on the Confederacy, you have Breckinridge with an extra, looks like, division over on the right wing, which is not these guys. It's the guys who aren't on the map. And that's worth a couple of points. Withers, just additional troops for a couple points. Beauregard. Assume that Beauregard takes command of the combined operations. The intention of this game is to play this what-if scenario, which I'm not going to do. Some more troops for Kentucky. Okay. So I'm going to play the historical battle here, which has a set of initial orders, which I've got to write down before I talk to him, I guess. Well, First Corps is defending the ridge line. Somewhere here, I don't see it. The map's a lot prettier than those later ones, isn't it? Ridge line between 2725 and the Hart's House. 2725. Hart's House must be hidden somewhere. I don't see it. No, down here. So this is their orders. They're not really following them as far as I'm concerned. And this is one of the problems I have. When I set these games up and then I look at the orders to try to get an example of, well, how closely do you follow the orders? I'm like, damn, man, I'd be following them a lot closer than that. One of the errata, this is a full river. They just missed getting that dark blue line running through it. Okay. The Cav has no orders, and the Third Corps is ordered to defend Peters Hill between the 20XX Hex Row and the J. Boswick House, west of Bull Run. This is kind of an interesting game. It has Wilson's Creek and Bull Run in it. I don't know how many other battlefields it has listed on it. Okay, so again, 20XX Hex Row and J. Boswith House. I don't know where J. Boswith is. I don't see him. That's up here. Again, it feels like I've been given a huge geographic territory to defend, and I'm not really doing it. These guys are First Corps up here. They have their orders too, don't they? Oh, shit. Oh, no, these guys are... These are First Corps. These guys are Third Corps. Yeah, okay. I get confused. So they actually are somewhere over there, and I guess they should move into there. That doesn't seem like what they're doing. And Buell can't issue orders to any units until he gets an initiative. Oh, if you've got the combined two armies, they put a restriction on total number of commands that can be issued at 15 between the two armies. So you still don't get you don't get extra command points going on. For the Confederates, the PALW, this unit here, is detached and has a divisional goal to defend the Springfield Pike between Bull Run and Perryville. The LBLW, damned if I know where they are, probably. Oh, they're down here. Is detached and given a divisional goal to act as the Army Reserve. It may not move until Bragg gives it new orders. Now, Bragg's not on the damn board. Oh, yeah, he is. Let's get him. Bragg, the Army of Mississippi, and they better get a supply train. Yeah, I was going to say, I better figure out where to put Bragg, because you can't play this without a commander, really. 2204, that's a pretty hefty restriction. Okay. RW must advance via the Dug Road. RW's not on the board. I haven't set everything up. See, I'm just missing some of the setup things here. So I got to set the rest of them up. But RW is going to be, looks like it's 3310, some of it. And 3110. So we're going to have additional troops over in this area. They're going to advance across the Dug Road and attack the Union First Corps. Now this is weird. So I would never write orders, or almost never, to attack a specific unit, but sometimes I write to maintain contact with an enemy unit and attack it, or in order to pursue or something. But this is weird because its orders are actually to attack the First Corps in order to capture the intersection of Mackville and Benton roads. Now, my orders, if I wrote them, would be to capture this territory here. I don't care about what unit I'm attacking. What happens if that unit moves? Now do I have to attack that unit and try to capture this according to that? These are poorly written orders in my book. And I will have to try to follow them. So if I were the Union, I would try to break, and I knew the Confederate orders, I would try to break those Confederate orders just as a joke. But I don't know. Okay, LW is crossing Doctor's Fork. That's this stream here. Jesus, I'm running late right now, I think. In the vicinity of the H. Bottom House and attack the Union First Corps with the same objectives as the RW. Cav RW has a divisional goal to cross the Chaplin River via the Gammon House. It's going to be over here. I don't know. The Cav is out around here to begin with. And the Cav LW is defending the Lebanon Pike south of Perryville and west of the Chaplin River. Well, this is them. South of Perryville and west of the Chaplin. That's this area that they're in right now. And again, one unit told to defend all of that. What does that mean? Well, to me it means they have extraordinary flexibility. This is the kind of orders that you need if you're going to play with divisional goals. Now, here's what's interesting. In this game, they actually talk a little bit about you're going to have to write your orders with specific geographical areas in mind, etc., because you're not in general going to be commanding the Confederate wings, although you can, to do something. You're going to generally be sending, actually it's the Army of Kentucky. The Army of Kentucky has that fragmented type of structure that we saw in their quiet fields. And they basically give you, even if you're going to, not play with defensive orders, they give defensive orders in this game. Well, that's been stripped away from the system largely. In the quiet fields, they say don't even play with defensive orders. They don't give orders that were defensive in nature. And there's key rules about bolting down headquarters in the series that do not work when you do that. This game kind of hints at that problem, but it still doesn't work if you have to have a commander stacked with with a unit of his command, and that commander is acting as the headquarters for the whole unit. It causes so much chaos in the game, and they certainly fixed that in South Mountain. All right, I'm going to go to work a little and come back and set this up at some point. I seem to have taken enough time on this one that it almost counts as an intro. Not of much use. My brain is just muddled. It's not just Triumph of Chaos. It's the time of the year and everything. It just screws with me. Anyway, what I did want to go into a little bit, and I think I'll load this up as an intro actually, but not an instructional one particularly, I guess, is what the other scenarios are like in this game. The second one is the early Confederate attack. No additional units, I don't think. Oh, wait. Let's see. Yeah, I still don't see the Second Corps coming into play in this one for the Union. That's the one thing I would have expected. And it looks to me like they're still avoiding the battle. So you'd have the same forces in play on this one. No, I didn't talk about victory conditions. The victory conditions for the one we're playing. Wrecked brigades. They're worth 1 point if they're wrecked, but wrecked because of stragglers, kind of to indicate that the force, primarily to indicate that the winning side, or to help affect that the winning side won't probably be able to pursue terribly well. The commanders here were particularly inept and unwilling to take chances, in the case of Bragg and Buell especially, but in the Civil War in general, if you remember from our playing of what the hell is it? The Civil War, but I was looking for where is it? The Victory Games game. That's a big factor there. Two armies hit each other. They usually both stagger back and neither's willing to attack. That's an accurate representation of what tended to happen. Of course, sometimes they are capable of continuing, and that would be reflected by not taking a lot of straggler losses here. Apparently, there's a couple of places where there's a C down here. There should be 3 more boxes after that. That's in the errata. Basically, they just failed to print properly on their original. That's not my fault. And so it's 1 point for each wrecked brigade, and 2 points for any brigade that's wrecked just with casualties. So you kind of have to watch. If you start taking heavy casualties on a unit, pull it out, because this is your only victory points in this particular scenario. And then control of Perryville is worth 3 victory points. So I just lied, of course. Not a lot of victory point differential here. Some of the later games start getting more fancy about terrain objectives, there really isn't a lot here. This is a wreck the opposing army, but instead of worrying about specific number of casualties, it's formation wreckage. I don't know which makes a lot more sense, to tell you the truth. You know, in some senses, overall casualties should still be a factor. If you completely wipe out a brigade, it's going to be a lot harder to reconstitute something out of a cadre there. The third scenario is really the what if. This is the core of the let's bring the Kentucky Army in. And you can throw options into all of them, but this is the one that brings this whole baggie in. And it changes the victory conditions significantly. Uses variable reinforcements here, which have a chance, they may or may not come in at certain times. And the second one covers the whole day. It basically suggests that the Confederates get an earlier start, and it uses variable reinforcements too. And in this case, you're looking at some more terrain holding, because the possibility of the Confederates being able to launch a further attack from this location becomes important once you combine the two armies. Historically, Bragg withdrew after this battle, even though he had a local parity at least, once he got together with Smith. Regional, he was way undergunned though. And let's see, 4, I don't know what the difference between 3 and 4 is. 3 is this encounter at Perryville. 4 is, I think, just an earlier start to that. This one starts at 5 a.m. Well, they both start at 5 a.m. and go like 3 days. I'm trying to see what the difference is here. Okay, so instead of the variable reinforcements, it starts with the two armies sitting on the board at the beginning of the first battle. And no. Scenario 3 is the 3-day scenario. Scenario 4 is a let's just play it on one day, the final day of the battle, and assume all the forces are in position for a set piece battle. And otherwise, it's the same as scenario 3. And that's about all we have here. It'd be kind of interesting. I should look to see how much my I match the historical losses, because I always make games more bloody. Alright, I'm going to load this up as an intro. It's mainly just me babbling, so for people who like the real stuff, they usually avoid these anyway. Most people get tricked into watching these instead of the actual playthroughs, which is the interesting